I am Jack Molloy Legault. I play Phil Malkin on It Welcome to Derry, and this is Pop Culture with Pat.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. I'm so excited to be joined by today's guests. Today I'm talking to Jack, who plays Phil in Welcome to Derry. Thank you so much for your time today, Jack.
No problem. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I just want to give you guys a fair heads up spoiler warning that this is going to be released after the first episode. This will contain spoilers for episode one, so make sure you guys have seen that before you watch the interview. But just to start things off, Jack, where did your love for film and television come from, and how did you get into acting in the first place?
Uh, well, I think it really stemmed from my mom, of course, my dad, but specifically my mom because she's also an actress. So she introduced me to the industry at a really young age through inviting me onto set when she was shooting something. And as I was growing up, they'd show me a lot of movies. Some of them maybe less than appropriate for someone of that age, but they'd call it like investing in my future as an actor. And yeah, it's just I love what movies and TV shows like do to people, do for people, and it's such an honor to be a part of that magic.
Yeah, and what would you say? Just curious, like, what are some of your favorite movies of all time?
Well, I think Andy wants me to say It and It Chapter 2 are the best movies of all time. But
Good choices.
yeah, I recently watched Sinners, which I really enjoyed with Michael B. Jordan, and he did a fantastic job. Interstellar, that's a classic with Matthew McConaughey. And maybe Ballerina with Anna de Armas, because that's part of the John Wick universe, and I really enjoyed those films. So
Yeah, those are some really good choices. I mean, right now, still the year's not done, but Sinners is my favorite film of the year so far for 2025. So that's a an excellent choice there. And Jack, you play Phil in the series Welcome to Derry. Can you talk about just the audition process for the character and what information you got about him?
so we had very, very little information from the get-go. I auditioned for other characters, such as uh, Teddy and a couple others that I'm gonna not say just yet. But yeah, I auditioned for Teddy and then Phil and then a couple other characters and then Phil again, and then they gave us the call that hey, we want you to be a part of this project, Fairview. And at the time, I had no idea. I thought it was going to be like a sci-fi script because of that particular scene in the school. That was the audition piece. It's changed a lot since the audition, though. So I thought it was going to be a sci-fi thing, and it was being called Fairview. When we finally got to Toronto, the car that came to pick us up said Fairview, and it wasn't until quite late in the auditioning process that we realized once we had actually got the job what this was for, and that was really exciting.
That must have been a nice surprise. So yeah, so coming
Yeah.
into this, once you actually knew, what was your relationship? Had you watched, because I know we were talking about it before, but had you watched either the mini series of It from the 90s, or had you watched It Volume 1 or Volume 2?
I actually, before I was booked on this, I hated horror movies. I was terrified. I'm still a scaredy cat, but once I got the job, I started to kind of dip my toes in the waters of horror, and I read the book, which is
Wow.
messed up. It's a scary book, but
Yeah.
Stephen King did absolute masterpiece. And then I watched the movies while we were shooting, and then I started to watch more horror films, and now I love it.
That's awesome.
I'm still a scaredy cat. Once my imagination gets going, if I'm standing in a dark field or I even have to go to the basement alone, I still get scared. But being a part of the horror universe of it, definitely Stephen King, actually, the Stephen King cinematic universe, as I like to call it, the
Yeah.
SKCU, hoping that catches on. Um, it's really changed how I look at horror and giving me a deeper appreciation for it, I think.
Man, I love to hear that because I'm a big horror fan myself ever since I was a little kid. Grew up on Are You Afraid of the Dark, Goosebumps, and just kind of and Universal Monsters, and then from there just kind of got into the little bit more adult stuff from there. And now, what helped you get into your character's mindset to play Phil for this series? Was there any kind of special prep that you did to play the character, or?
Absolutely, yeah. So like I mentioned, I watched the movies and read the book. which I think really helped me get into the mindset and see how Andy Muschietti's brain works, which I think was really interesting. I like how he shot the films, how the jump scares were planned out. Also, I have this friend Odin who's really into planes, and so I talk to him a lot because once you watch the first episode, you'll know that Phil is kind of a nerd about planes. So I just having that knowledge under the belt about like the C-130 and stuff. I really think that helped me just understand Phil a little bit more. Also looked at films that he might have watched growing up in the 60s. A kid that was insanely into sci-fi and these crazy conspiracy theories, learned about Morlocks, all that kind of stuff to prep for the role. And since Phil is already, I feel a lot like me in his kind of crazy imagination and his, not to brag, but like wit and sarcasm and stuff, I think it was the role meant to be, you know?
Yeah, no, you fit the character perfectly, and he's a
Thank you.
bit of a conspiracy theorist too. Where do you think that side of him kind of comes from?
Well, Phil grew up in Derry, and like all citizens of Derry, there's this deep-seated, like this slow creeping fear that's been in him all of his life, and that's really difficult for him, especially when Maddie goes missing. That fear plus the guilt of how he might have had a reason, like something to do with that, that's really difficult for Phil. And the way those like conspiracy theories, he's always talking about, oh, they're real, they're real. But I think a deep down, a part of him really does not want them to be real. And his biggest fear is that those crazy thoughts he gets in his head, his imagination, might not be his imagination at all, and some sort of horrible reality he lives in.
Yeah, which is quite terrifying. And can you just talk about working with the rest of the kids that you got to work with for this show and just developing that relationship that you guys share in the series?
It was really no problem at all. We are such a great group of friends. It was a delight to every day going on set. Um, a lot of my scenes are, but mainly with Clara Stack and Mikel Karim Fidler, both successful, amazing actors who I love to work with. And they're super talented. I every day coming into work I was excited because I got to hang out with them. Um, Amanda Christine, Blake James, Arian Cartaya, Miles Eckert, all the patty cakes is what we call their little trio.
Yeah.
It was just it was an honor, honestly, to work with them because it was a family, honestly.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys' chemistry on screen is great. It really translates watching the first couple episodes. So Pennywise, he appears to people as the thing that they fear most. If he was to appear to you, Jack, what would the thing that he would appear to you as?
That's a tough one. I'm a pretty scared guy just on an everyday basis, but it'd either be vampires because I've hated vampires since I was a kid, and Sinners has definitely given me a terrifying like fear of them. Uh, or frogs. I really do not like frogs or toads because I just don't like how they look. And
Yeah,
a couple years ago, I was talking with my cousin Joe, who's awesome, definitely one of my best friends, and he came up and he stuck something in my bathing suit.
oh no.
And I wasn't sure what it was until I reached, and I thought it felt weird, and I pulled it out, and it was a toad, and it had peed in my bathing suit. So I've hated frogs and toads ever since. And if Pennywise appeared one day as a swarm of frogs or one giant frog, I'd
That's
poop
it.
myself. Yeah.
That's hilarious. And for you, what makes Pennywise or it, I should say, what makes it so terrifying for you?
Um, well, the fact that it isn't just the form it takes, but it's really an emotion that lives in all of us, especially the inhabitants of Derry. Uh, it has been planting these seeds of fear and hate and doubt in everybody, all the inhabitants, for years, since they've been born and since their parents and grandparents have been there. So it's not when it appears, there's a part of you, I think, that knows like this was gonna happen eventually. And I think the like that dread and that like certainty that it will get you eventually, that's what makes that experience and it so terrifying.
That was one of my favorite aspects of watching these first couple of episodes too, just really kind of getting to dive into the history because as soon as this series was announced, I was super excited because I felt like there was so much that you could explore with the past because you get mentions of those throughout the book, and so I was really excited to kind of see those come to the screen with the series. And Jack, for you, what was it like just stepping into the world created by Stephen King, the master of horror himself?
It was an honor because once I'd caught wind of what we were working on and I started to learn more about who Stephen King was, what was his mindset, who he was when he wrote these books. Um, it just developed like I respect him. Honestly, he's a great man. He's created a masterpiece, several terrifying masterpieces that all happen in the same world, and it is such an honor and a privilege to be part of the SKCU. It's incredible, really, to be part of like this horror family, and I met some really interesting people um who are also part of the SKCU that I think I hope we work together in the future, and I hope we continue to grow this rapidly expanding universe.
Fingers crossed. And for you too, how was it stepping into the 1960s, stepping into a different time? I'm sure that must have been fun for you to kind of explore that.
Yeah, that was really really interesting, especially the state the United States was in the 60s, especially a small town like Derry. And a prominent one, especially explored in the series, is racism,
Yeah.
the Cold War and stuff. That was really interesting to step into a place, a climate of such fear already there, without even this awful being, and then being a part of that was super interesting. And of course, just the costumes and the hair. Every day on set, everybody got their hair styled. I had like it since the hair is very precise. Every day, Tara Lee, my amazing hairstylist, would just tiniest touch ups, just trimming a hair there and here and there, and the costumes were super precise and well done. And I was growing so fast. Thank God for Lewis and his patience in making the costumes. Um, and yeah, I remember there's this one time we were on set filming the school scene, and there was something like 80 to 100 extras who had all gotten told like a couple days before that they had to cut all their hair to like for the realism of the 60s, and
Yeah.
apparently that was really rough for a lot of people, especially people who had been growing their hair out for a while. So that was an emotional time for them,
The
and
things we do for
but
movie
it
making,
was so cool,
for
dude. It was
filmmaking.
the school scene, everybody dressed in 60s with the hair, the lockers, everything was period accurate, and it was really great attention to detail.
Oh yeah, I mean it came out great. I love seeing all that stuff, and I hopefully we get some behind the scenes, once the series is done. I think there's like an official podcast. I gotta check that out for the series as well because I love that kind of stuff. And Jack, for you, when it comes to you having to act terrified, what do you kind of do for yourself personally to get yourself in that mindset? I know you said that you're kind of easy to scare like in general, but is there anything specific you do to kind of get yourself in that mindset?
Well, the trick is you got to be able to turn it on and off. And when you turn it on, it has to be instant and like 110%. So when you're acting scared, it can't just be I am acting scared. That can't be going through your mind. You got to be scared. And that's difficult to just summon, but I found that I was able to do that when I truly pictured what the hell was happening in front of me. And once you realize what situation your character's in, you know they're going to be I'm going to use polite language here, but they're going to be freaking out.
And I'm gonna, even though I gave it at the beginning, I'm gonna say spoilers again, just specifically for this question in particular. So, spoiler warning: three, two, one. The ending of episode one was insane. Here, I'm starting watching this series, and I figured that you guys were, all part of the new Losers Club, and I was like, oh, we're gonna follow these characters. Can you just talk about filming that scene with the crazy demon baby thing that comes attacking you guys in that movie theater?
Yeah, that was a wild scene to film. I just like to warn the audiences. stay tuned because not everything is as it seems in Derry, and Derry's a wild town. All right. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. But filming that scene, I think it was only the second scene I had shot. First one I had shot with my buddy Mikel, playing Teddy in our bedroom or my bedroom, and that was just a super fun introduction to working with Andy and stuff. And then the second scene, that was my first time working with fellow actress Clara Stack and my little sister Matilda Legault. That was super crazy and interesting, and honestly, it was wild because at the time it was just a big baby head on a stick. So that was what they were waving around, and you had to act like you were shitting your pants, terrified. Um,
I was wondering what you guys had to look at because where there was some CGI elements, I was wondering what you guys had to work with in that moment.
it was a big, I think, 3D printed baby head on a stick, and
That's
that was
pretty
it.
terrifying.
Yeah, it was so at some point they had a green dot like on a like laser pointer, which is not any scarier. But and at some point there was a guy in like a green morph suit with like a fake head and like arms, and that was just ridiculous. So you really had to really like theater of the mind picture that there was a giant fucking mutant baby flying straight at you. And yeah,
Oh,
it was a really interesting first scene of film with my at the time 8-year-old little sister and this super awesome actress I just met. So
that
that was really interesting.
that is crazy to think that that was one of your guys' first scenes to film
Yeah.
for the series. I mean, talk about starting off with a bang, and working with Andy. We've mentioned him a couple times, but can you just talk about the experience of having him as your director and just what kind of makes him stand out as a director for you?
Andy is one of the coolest guys I've ever met. So you've for those of you who were at the premiere, he mentioned this, but he had a bugle that he found in the props department, an authentic 60s bugle. And every time we got the take just right, he'd blow it, and everyone would cheer because that meant we could move on. So already from that, it was a very chill, fun vibe on set, and he honestly made the set a family. We knew everybody's names, every one of the cast and crew. Uh, he was a hugger. Him and Barbara huggers, so it was a very, you know, everyone was always hugging and laughing and joking around. The second he said cut, the screaming would stop, the joking around would start, and yeah, at some point it got difficult for us to actually start filming because we were having so much fun. But Andrew and Barbara create such a fantastic environment on set that it really just felt like home. And sometimes it sucked to have to go back to the apartment where we were staying because it meant we couldn't spend more time on set with them.
Yes. Well, I mean, you love to hear that as a fan. So it's great to hear that you guys had such a great time. And to wrap things up for you, Jack, is there anything else that you'd like to say about working on the series? And is there anywhere that fans can stay up to date with you moving forward?
I would just say stay tuned because this is such a fantastic show with such fantastic people. It's weird. So
Oh yeah.
I would stay tuned. Yeah. You can follow my mom on Instagram. She posts a lot of photos and the cast too. They've got tons of behind the scenes footage and photos from on set and also the premiere and the after party.
Well,
So
I'll make sure to
everything's
put
there.
that
Yeah.
down below in the description so that way people can give your mom a follow. And yeah, make sure you guys check out the rest of the cast, Instagrams and social media as well. You can stay up to date. Jack, just want to say thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on the series, and you are welcome back anytime in the future.
Thank you. This was awesome. Thank you so much. I am Jack Molloy Legault. I play Phil Malkin on Welcome to Derry, and this is Pop Culture with Pat.